G'day everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. So the time has come for me to select my official 2023 AFL All-Australian team. The actual squad will be announced this Wednesday, but I thought it would be a great time to pick my side for this AFL season. Always a fun video to do, a tricky one to do as well. There's just so many players to try and fit only into 22 spots. So I have put a lot of thought into it and going to be giving my thoughts and 2 cents on what I think, or my personal All-Australian side. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you do go on to enjoy today's video, and let's get straight into it. So as always, we'll kick it off with the fullbacks. In the first back pocket, we'll go with a player that I'm still shocked that did not make the team from last year, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴. He has to make the All-Australian this year, surely. Still can't believe he didn't make it last year, but in terms of this season, as soon as he went down with suspension, I thought this guy's All-Australian hopes would be killed because it's just like too many games he missed out. But as soon as he came back into that team, he's just such a special player to watch. The impact he has on the team when he's out of the side, Hawthorn struggle when he's in the side. They're just such a better group defensively, and they seem to win more games with him in it. He's a nucleus of that back half. He always gets the footy. Yeah, he can get a bit of cheap ball and everything, but he uses it so well, loves to take the game on, a great kick, and defensively, we all know. He does play in that third tall forward. You know, he isn't playing sometimes on the opposition's best key forward, but you know, his ability in the air is so good. He comes in from the side, can take some great marks, and just overall one of the best, I think, just users and generals, I think, in the competition. So yeah, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴, I think he's up there for marks and all that whatnot, and kicks as well for a defender. He's had a great year, and definitely high in the coaches' votes too. The impact's the big one with 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴. Deserves his spot. I've got him in the first back pocket. And now we move on to fullback. There is certainly a lot of talk with the key defenders this year. There's so many to choose from, like 𝐓𝐿𝐴, Darcy Moore, Andrews, and wiedering, maybe even 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 and all that whatnot. But for my fullback, I'm going to be going with Harris Andrews. Now, there's a little bit of controversy with him being, has he been that good? If you look at the statistics, maybe there's a few other key defenders who've been better in the intercepts or the marks or whatever. But Andrews has been quite big this year, in my opinion, because of his impact on the side. Now, of course, he hasn't been playing on the opposition's best key forward. That is left with Jack Payne and Ryan Lester to do. Because of their accountability and their ability to shut down those plays, Andrews can almost do what he wants. He leaves his man. He always comes towards the marking contest. And yeah, he's just such a natural player. You know, he's a composed player as well with ball in hand. Can make a few mistakes here or there, but just in the air, he's just one of the most reliable key backs in the competition. Again, if you just remove the statistics alone, just look at his impact on that Brisbane side. Whenever the ball goes in that back half, he's just always there, making an impact, taking a mark. You know, just a terrific player in the air, and just a joy to watch. And I think he truly deserves his spot in the side. Very high. I think he's had around at least 50 coaches' votes this year for a key defender, which is remarkable. That is very high. So yeah, he's been a huge influence for the Lions this year. Deserves a spot, Harris Andrews. Now move on to the next back pocket, and I'm going to be going with Callum Wilkie from the St Kilda Footy Club. He started this year like a house on fire and an intercepting beast. Throughout the middle of the year, he probably maybe dropped off a little bit, but I still feel like with the Saints' success, and especially the last 2 months or so, he's produced some really good numbers. And the reason why the Saints have won a lot of those important games is they work so well as a back six, St Kilda, but he's the big reason on why they have been a great side this year. He's so good in the air. He plays on the opposition's best forward all the time. And yeah, just one-on-one, he's very good, but it's just that intercepting ability he's great at. You know, gets a lot of the footy, and you know, play ratings-wise with all the champion data numbers, he's up there in intercepts, and yeah, a big reason why St Kilda have been great this year. So yeah, his intercepting abilities, he's very good in the air, and alongside that, himself and the rest of the St Kilda's back half have been very good this year, and I think he deserves a spot in the All-Australian. Now move on to the half-back line. First one here, quite an obvious selection. It's got to be Nick Daicos now. He's mostly played the midfield this year, but because he has played a few games sometimes at half-back, and he still is naturally a half-back flanker when he isn't playing midfield. Obviously, everyone's going to put him in the half-back spot because there is a lot of midfielders to be put in. But this is just an obvious selection, really. We all know this guy's a superstar. His awareness is brilliant. His decision-making is A-grade. He's one of the best players in the competition. Great chance for the Brownlow medal. Shame he went down with the injury, but I'm sure if he does come back fit and firing, he's going to make an impact for the Pies for a potential tilt of the flag. But yeah, just the complete package. Can kick goals. Work ethic is brilliant. Hard play to tag as well most of the time. But yeah, just a great decision maker, and yeah, joy to watch. He's just an absolute star. Easy one for Nick Daicos in the team. And now for centre half back. This is a very difficult one because there are a few key defenders that could sneak in this position. But I'm going to be going with Darcy Moore from the Collingwood Footy Club. Again, I know a lot of people will disagree with this given his second half of the year. Probably numbers-wise has dropped off. But again, I use that word, impact. I think it's such a big one, especially for key defenders, because they're the key defenders are your structure. They're the ones that are crucial towards your lineup. They have to be good in the air. They need to rebound. And I think especially with Collingwood's success this year, Darcy Moore's played a key part. He can rebound. Yes, with the reverse Coleman, he can give away a few goals and a few blunders, but he's just such a natural in the air. He's able to read the ball extremely well, the drop zone extremely well, take an intercept mark, and especially his offensive skill set is one to really look at. He's a great kick, rebounds with pace, and he's just always part in that Collingwood transition and scoring chains, or the chains to getting the ball from the defensive half into their forward half. So yeah, he's been a great player this year. Darcy Moore again. Maybe if you crunch the numbers, someone like a 𝐼𝐴 𝐻𝐪𝐻, especially the second half of the year, has probably been better than him with like intercepts and everything. But I just feel like impact, and especially for team success, Darcy Moore's played a huge part. And yeah, his first half of the year was brilliant as well. So I'll be going with Darcy Moore for centre half back. And for the final halfback flanker in the team, again, another no-brainer selection. If you put Daicos, or if you count Daicos as a midfielder, Jack Sinclair has been pretty much head and shoulders above the rest of the competition, the best general defender in the AFL. Player ratings wise, he's up there. He's averaging like 29 touches. He's played a little bit of midfield this year, but the last few weeks or so, he's drifted back into his natural position of halfback. He always sits at the back of stoppages, but he's just a great player to watch. He's fast. The running mullet, of course. He's a great user of it, and he's just such a quick player. Like he's able to get that quick kick forward. He's a nifty player. He's a silky player. I love to watch him. And sometimes he can go bang from 55 out and kick a nice goal. Great user of it, and loves to take the game on. So yeah, Sinclair producing great numbers this year. Deserves another All-Australian for 2 years in a row. Now we move on to our centre line. So we've got the two wingers and the centreman. We'll kick it off with the first winger. Oh, Errol, I'll give everything just to be like you. Yes, I am a Swans fan, of course, so excuse my nothingness. But of course, Errol Gulden deserves his spot in the side this year. I've tried to keep a lid on things, or in fact, I actually have kept a lid on things. Whilst everyone was saying Gulden was a lock halfway through the season, I was like, he definitely isn't. He's got to have a good second half of the year, but just week after week, this guy continues to impress. Now, he has played a little bit on the ball, but he is an outside player. He's played quite an amount of the wing to actually be in the wing position, and he has mainly been a winger this year, but yeah, just on the outside. His improvement this year has been remarkable for the Swans. His work ethic is the big one. He always just demands the football. Whenever the Swans transition the ball, he just goes end to end, demanding the footy, getting a kick forward. Obviously, we all know one of the best kicks in the comp, but the thing that is definitely, as I say again, the key thing with Gulden's performances this year is just his accountability, his two-way running. I think he's one of the toughest runners in the competition, and he's a goal kicker. Like, he's good defensively, he's good on the attack, can kick some lovely goals, and a great user. So yeah, Gulden, I think he is top 10 in the coaches' votes and all that whatnot. So he's he's just had a very consistent year, Errol Gulden. So he's got to be on the wing position. Now for the centreman, and this player will probably be my captain. I'll probably have to choose my captains at the end of this video, but we all know who this man is, Marcus Bontempelli. I think probably the best player in the competition this year. I'm keen to see how he will go in the Brownlow medal. He does deserve it if he does win it. But yeah, he's just carried almost the Bulldogs this year, alongside 𝐿𝐵𝐴𝐴𝐴 and a few other players like Tim English. They've been very good this year too. But I did predict this guy will get back to his best this year after a bit of an off year last year, a bit of injury, a bit of more time forward, but he's gotten back and down midfield. He has played a bit of forward this year. He's kicked some great goals, but he's a special player to watch. Week in, week out, very consistent player as well. That's the key thing with Bontempelli. Consistency is key, but just every week he gives 110%. Loves to take the game on, and just, he's a slowish player, but he's still takes those massive strides and exit stoppages, and a great kick of the footy too, forward of centre, loves to hit up targets inside 50, and yeah, just a clean play in the coalface as well. So it's a no-brainer. 𝐵𝗏𝗡𝗀 definitely deserves a spot in this side. And now we move on to the wing position. This is where things get a little bit controversial, because I am going to be following sort of like, the philosophy of all Australians. They just always do this every year. They have a midfielder that isn't a winger that is put on the wing. And because of that, I'm just going to have to do it. I'm going to be picking Jordan Dawson, but this guy deserves a spot in the side this year. Now, he isn't a winger, of course, but he's always been a bit of an outside natural player, and because of that, I will put him on the wing. But he's been an on-ball this year. As soon as he moved onto the ball, I think like round 3 or round 4, he has totally changed that Crows, outfitter. He's been a big part in the Crows' improvement this year. The captain, of course, for Adelaide. He's such a natural player in that midfield. I think he's hyped there in the coaches' votes this year. A good amount of disposals he's got this year as well. One of the best kicks in the competition as well. He's had a remarkable improvement of numbers. He can always kick a goal as well. And yeah, just his on-field leadership, I think, has been a big key in Adelaide's I guess success in a way. They've had a great year still. But yeah, he is a great player to watch, Jordan Dawson. Such a unique one. Hard to sort of tag as well. He's had some best on ground performances as well. Could be a high up there for the Brownlow as well. But yeah, Jordan Dawson definitely deserves a spot in this side this year. Now moving on to the followers for the Ruckman. This one's a tough one here. Tim English or Rowan Marshall? I think Rowan Marshall's second half of the year might edge Tim English in the actual selections, because, geez, he's been impressive this year. But I still think, in terms of consistency throughout the whole year, consistency is a big thing, I think, with all Australian selections. I'm going to be going with Tim English, just nudging over or edging over Rowan Marshall. English is still, I think, at ground level, one of the best ruckmen in the competition. He moves across the ground so well. He's always a part of scoring chains and just the Bulldogs' ability to move the footy. Just his work ethic's a really good one. Type ruckman, yes, he isn't one of the best in the competition, but he's always up there for disposals. He can take some great clunks, and he has the ability to go forward and kick goals. And I swear, every time he goes for goal, he has a shot at goal this year. He's putting him through the big sticks. He's a pretty accurate kick for goal. So I think he's just the complete ruckman in the comp. He's been a little bit more consistent, I think, than Rowan Marshall. And I'm pretty sure as well, player ratings wise, he clears Marshall in that area. So in terms of champion data, they do give English the nod as well. I think he's been a little bit more of an impactful ruckman, even though Marshall's had a great year too, but I'm going to be going with Tim English. Now moving on to the first follower, and I'm going to be going with a heavy Brownlow favourite of Zach Butters from Port Adelaide. What a year this guy has had. I think it was around round 6 or round 7, he officially said to the competition he has arrived as not just a good midfielder, but an elite top line of midfielder. He's had a great year. Of course, you all know he had that 5 or 6 week period where he gained the most coaches' votes out of any player in AFL history. He went on a rampage with best on ground performances left, right and centre. His attack on the footy is always great to watch. He always gives it 110% week in, week out. He's improved on his outside gamma fill this year too. He's always been able to spread from end to end or between arc to arc, and I think he's just hunting the footies a great one. He's averaging some really good numbers this year. Coaches' votes is definitely up there as well. In fact, I think he'll probably win the actual Coaches' Vote award, which will be a big one because he truly deserves it. His impact's great. He's a goal-kicking midfielder as well, and he's worked alongside in tandem with Rosie remarkably well this year. So Zach Butters for my first follower. Now moving on to the next on-baller. Now, I feel like this guy's a little bit forgotten. Like, probably not forgotten, but he's just gone under the radar this year. Probably because of the team success. It hasn't really helped him with his reputation. But Caleb Serong definitely deserves a spot in my side, or All-Australian side, for this year. At the end of the home race season, he has the most disposals out of any player in the competition. Now, stats-wise, that is a great thing. It might not necessarily mean anything in terms of All-Australian selections, but it is a key reason on why I think this guy's had a great year. His improvement, and he is shown that he is an elite midfielder this year. He's had a better year than Brayshaw, of course. I think he's hyped there with the coaches' votes as well. But I just love watching this guy play. The other key thing as well, consistency. I don't think this guy's had a bad game this year. He's just been so consistent for Fremantle. Every week he's just going in hard for the footy. He has a great ability to win the footy in and under and just get that hack kick or quick hand pass out. In terms of scoreboard impact and everything, that's probably not his biggest strength, but it's just his ball winning ability is a great one, producing great numbers, and I think his just consistency definitely deserves a spot in the All-Australian this year. Moving on now to the half forward line, and for the first player I've got at half forward flank is no other than Christian Petrarca from the Melbourne Demons. I know a few people will groan at this saying, another midfielder at half forward, but technically in the second half of this year, he's actually played quite a bit forward. He has started forward for games. He's played a lot of games this year where he's mainly been a forward. So yeah, him on the half forward line is definitely justified. He's still, alone ability-wise, one of the best players in the competition for score involvements. I think he is number one in score involvements. And when you just watch this guy play, he's such a special talent. He is a very strong player. He's got great core strength, very hard to tackle. In every disposal, he's doing something with it. It's damaging. It's towards an advantage of another player to kick for goal. He can kick goals himself. He is one of the highest goal-kicking midfielders in the competition this year. It's just about impact. That defines 𝐼𝐶 𝐿𝐵, and he's an obvious selection this year. Great chance for the Brownlow medal as well in 2023. Now moving on to the centre half forward, pretty easy selection here. Going to be going with the Coleman medalist 𝐼𝐶 𝐿𝐵. He nabs his second one in a row, and what a year he's had. Even when the Blues have been a little bit up and down a wee bit, especially in that middle part of this season, he's still been kicking goals for fun across the span of this year. He's such a special player to watch. The thing that's always underrated about him is his field kicking. He's one of the best field kicks in the competition as a key forward. He can play high at the ground. He can peel off, hit a target inside 50, and going for goal as well. He's such a natural player. Snaps for goal, it's going through. Set shots for goal, it's going through. Kicks on the run, it's going through. He's just the complete package as a key forward. Very athletic player in the air as well. He's had a sensational year, 𝐼𝐶 𝐿𝐵. Now moving on to the final half forward selection in the team, I'm going to be picking Toby Greene from the GWS Giants. Now, I wouldn't say he's been the single reason why the Giants have made finals, but he's been a massive reason on why they are making the push towards September. His impact this year has been remarkable. He was out a little bit of an off year with injury and a little bit of inconsistency last year, but now he's shown that he is one of the best players in the competition when he is up and about. He's single-handedly won games for the Giants sometimes this year, and I think he's been a big influence on a lot of improvement on the whole Giants forward line. Bedford's had a great year, Daniels as well, Riccardi, Hogan have made some great cameos this year. So not only has he had a great year himself, Toby Greene, but I think because of his on-field leadership, he's really improved the Giants forward half. But just his individual ability is remarkable as well. He can kick goals out of nowhere. He's a great ground level play too. Great on the set shot as well. And yeah, he's been up there on the goal tally too. So an obvious selection, Toby Greene. Now move on to the full forward line, the two forward pockets and the full forward. First forward pocket, I am going to be selecting Charlie Cameron from the Brisbane Lions. Apart from Toby Greene, this guy has still been one of the best small forwards in the competition. And you got to give this side a bit of balance. There's got to be, I think, a few ground level plays in this team. He's kicked over 50 goals this year as a small forward. The Brisbane Lions have been a successful side. He's been a key reason for it. And yeah, he's had a few games this year where he has been contained quite well. So, that happens with small forwards. They're not going to have a great game every single week, but he's still been consistent enough this year. He's a game changer. He's a buns on seats type of player. He kicks some awesome goals, and he's just a hard player to tackle too. He can always get out the back with a few sneaky goals. Just your classic goal sneak. He deserves his spot in the All-Australian side, in my opinion, Charlie Cameron. Moving on now to the full forward position, and I'm going to be choosing Taylor Walker from the Adelaide Crows. Still baffles me on how this guy's never made an actual full All-Australian, or he's never gotten an All-Australian blazer in his career, but deserves his first one this year. He ended up finishing second in the Coleman race, very close from taking it home. Apart from that, if you just take a look, get rid of the goals aside, just look on how this guy plays. You don't really need to look at the goals tally and think, oh, this guy deserves it or not, because he's just had just an awesome year. Like, he's such a special player to watch, and the thing that I always love watching about him is he can just kick goals. He's one of the most versatile key forwards in the comp with how he kicks his goals. He's a great set shot player. He can kick on his right. He can even kick on his left naturally so well from 50 metres out off a step. He can kick snaps, he can kick goals when the ball's at ground level. That's what I always notice with the Texan. His versatility is so good. And yeah, when you do look at the goals, he's finished second in the Coleman this year. He's had a great year. Love watching him this year, Taylor Walker. And I've got him in the full forward spot. And now for the final forward pocket in this video. Bit of a tough one here. Maybe could go with Grind Mines. Maybe Cole Langford. He's kicked over 50 goals this year. Perhaps even Oscar Allen. He's been awesome this year. But following the trend of last year with the All-Australian, they put three key forwards in the forward line. I'm going to be continuing that and putting in a deserved selection of Nick Larkey from North Melbourne. He's ended up kicking over 70 goals this year, I'm pretty sure, for the Kangaroos this year. And 70 goals in a 17th place side is just amazing. Like, he's been massive this year, I think, Nick Larkin. He's kicked a lot of bags, especially in the second half of this year, on some pretty respectable opponents. He's been able to kick some goals against some tough sides, and yeah, I think just alone 70 goals in a 17th place side is very good. He's always one of the most accurate set shots in the competition. He can gain some great separation from opponents, and he's very good in the air too. So yeah, he's still a massive draft steal. Of course, he was like pick 73 back in 2016. I'm pretty sure, but he's going to be a big part, I think, for North Melbourne, part of their rebuild. But yeah, this year with the numbers alone, he deserves a spot in the side, so I've got him in the forward pocket. So there is the on-field 18, everyone, but we are not done yet. We have still 4 players to select from with the interchange, and this is where things are hard. This is where a lot of 50-50 calls and borderline selections do occur, but let's kick it off with the first one. This guy still definitely deserves to make the team, but you could put him in as a follower. That's fair enough, but I'm still going to stick him on the bench. He still definitely deserves to make the team. Connor Rozee from Port Adelaide. This guy alongside Butters, they're just like two peas in the pod. They've worked so well as a midfield duo this year. You always talk about it, Butters and Rozee. They are the two marquee players for Port Adelaide this year, and are going to be big in finals, you do think. But yeah, Rozee, just like last year, has produced some great numbers. He's been, again, a very consistent player for Port Adelaide. Just gets it done week in, week out. We all know his silky smooth ability to win the footy and glide out of contests and kick some awesome goals. Yeah, he's just been a star to watch, Connor Rozee, this year. And yeah, love when he kicks a great goal. He is an awesome player, Connor Rozee. He's my first player on the bench. Now moving on to my next player on the pine, and I'm going to be going with Tom Liberatore from the Western Bulldogs. I think this guy deserves his spot in the team this year. He's always such an underrated player, but numbers-wise, he has had a career best year. And I think, alongside Bontempelli, he's been awesome this year. Tom Liberatore has been just one of the key reasons on why the Bulldogs midfield from time to time has looked so good. Like, whenever Bontempelli has a great game, so does Liberatore. And when you deeply look at Bulldogs games, I think when Liberatore has a great half, and same with Bont gets all the praise. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, Liberatore never gets some of the praise that he truly deserves. He's just such a great ball winner. I think he's one of the best inside players, ball winning players from this year. He's averaged around 27 touches. He's high up there in the coaches' votes. I think player ratings wise, he's the number 1 rated player in the competition. So just week in, week out, his impact around the coalface has been just a significant one, I think, for the Doggies this year. So yeah, I'm going to be selecting Tom Liberatore. Such a great player in and under. Now moving on to my third bench spot in the team. Don't just want to be selecting midfielders. It's easy to, but let's be honest, the bench will probably just be full of mids anyway. But I'm going to be going with Dan Houston. Feel like this guy's a little bit forgotten with maybe All-Australian selections this year, but apart from Sinclair, I think this guy's definitely been one of the best general defenders in the competition this year. He isn't averaging the highest amount of disposals, or when you look at stats, he isn't necessarily first for anything, but I do bring that word back into play. Impact. He is a very good user of the football. He always loves getting handball receives. He always loves driving the footy forward. Player ratings, he's definitely regarded high up there by Champion Data. I think Daniel Hoyne has definitely said a lot of times he's a top 10 player in the comp. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves a spot in the side. You could put him in the back 6, but yeah, I mean, he's got to be at least on the bench, I feel. And he's a goal-kicking defender as well. He loves kicking forward of centre. He loves going for those big bombs from 55 out. And definitely a key reason why Houston has been great this year is also team success. He's won them games off his own boot, of course, against the Dons, but yeah, he's just been a complete player this year. Houston, just impact with every touch, a great player to watch, and yeah, Houston on my bench. And for the final selection in the team, this is hard, very hard, a lot of great players to choose from here, but in the end, I'm going to be selecting Zach Merrett from the Essendon Footy Club. Now, yeah, it's been a bit of a disappointing second half of the year for Essendon, but just every single week, Merrett has produced some great footy. He has been tagged a few times, of course, and sometimes he doesn't play well under a tag, but I think, the numbers this guy's had this year and his improvement on his defensive efforts and his accountability has been an eye-catcher for me this year. And definitely his kicking is just one of the best in the competition, I personally feel, as a midfielder. Like, forward to centre, when the ball's going inside 50, he's just such a great user. Still an underrated player in a way, and again, it's hard for this final interchange spot. Could have put in like Noah Anderson or Lachie Neale or someone like that, but I just think, he's flown the flag, I think, a few times for Essendon. Maybe not. It's a hard selection. Like, he probably won't get in because of team success. That's always a big part. But just individually wise, I've just loved his year. He's had some great games across the span of 2023. And yeah, he's made a significant improvement. And I think in the long run, this guy will be a key player as Essendon do want to improve next year. So Zach Merrett, I've got as my final player in the team. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is my All-Australian side for 2023. Of course, very hard to do these sort of videos. I did spend quite a while thinking about it and going with position by position, a lot of borderline selections. So feel free to comment down below and let me know what you did think of my team, and feel free to comment down below maybe your team as well, or if there was a few players that were stiff not to make it. I totally understand that. At the end of the day, you can only fit in 22 selections, so it was very hard. But yeah, there's my personal All-Australian side. Of course, yes, the actual side will come out on Wednesday this week, but you know, it's still this is the point of the channel. I'll have to give my 2 cents on footy topics. So there's my All-Australian side for 2023. So everyone, that is the end of today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy. Of course, at the time of recording this video, the pre-finals bye will be coming up this weekend. So no footy this weekend, but still want to be pumping out a bit of content on the channel. So stay tuned. And apart from that, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.